here. I wanted to just get on here real quick and show you how I am marking this quilt. This is called Straits of Mackinac, and it's in a Bonnie Hunter book called String Frenzy, which of course I don't know where the book is. I have the book, but my fatal flaw is that I constantly rearrange my sewing room, and that's not a good fatal flaw. But anyway, so now I can't find it, and I kept moving the book around. But this book, I did it a little differently, but I do highly recommend, if you like doing string quilts and you like scrappy quilts, I highly recommend that book. It has great patterns in it. I think this might be the 4th quilt I've done out of that book. And I have a couple of more that I'd like to do. But all that aside, here is my quilt. I'm almost done. I only have a couple more rows to do, but I'm doing a big stitch Baptist fan. Now, I made my own template for it. Now, I have a regular template Baptist fan thing quilt that I have used before, but I think this works best or well for, especially if you're going to be doing the big stitch. Now I did mark some of the quilt with a very light pencil, but then I found these. I saw someone had recommended these, and so I've been using this. I don't know if you can see that, to mark my quilt. And so this was something that was in my sewing room. I actually had 2 of these. I think that when I first learned how to quilt, I took a class at like the local high school, adult additional learning, how they do in some places. And here in Chester County, Pennsylvania, they did it, and it was a quilt. There was a quilt class, and my mother-in-law and she's been gone for 13 years. So it was pretty low. It was well before she passed that we did this, because I have been quilting for over 20 years. But anyway, I had 2 of these in my sewing room, and one had her name on it, so it makes me think that that's what it's, because she continued to take quilt classes. I did not, due to time and different reasons, but I continued to quilt. So anyway, I use these. My fans, I use this. I do 5 fans, and they are 1 inch apart. I've seen this all over. You could YouTube it, and people buy plastic, and they just mark their own how far apart they want their fans. If I want them 1/2 inch apart, I could have done that. These holes were a little small for they fit well with a pencil, but when I started using this marker, which it's starting to run out a little bit. When I started using this marker, they were a little small. So my husband, he just got the smallest thing on his drill and just kind of made them. I could have done it, but he doesn't always let me play with his toys, which I don't let him touch my quilting stuff either. So let me show you how I do this. This is over here. Here are the divots right here. Now here, I'll have to show you what I have to do there. Sometimes they don't always line up. But here's the divot. And that is going to be when you're starting a row, that is always going to be where your 5th blade should end. So therefore, you have to take the ruler off of the quilt and just do it like that. I use a thumbtack here, and just because I find that it's easier to go like that with the thumbtack. So I just take this 5th one right here and create the 5th blade. Here's the 4th one. And I finished this row last night. There's the 3rd one. 2nd one. And frankly, I like to go from 5 to 1 rather than 1 to 5. I feel like it pivots a little bit easier if you do it that way. So now I'm going to put the thumbtack now in that divot again, but I'm going to start that where it says here start because I kept getting confused. That's why I marked them, just so I don't have to think about it. So this is where I start. As opposed to it being the 5th blade, now this is where I hit start. And I kind of, I have to fudge it just a smidge. And then this is where my 5th blade's going to be. Down here with the divot down here. So I lined that up with that divot, and now that's where that one goes. So I do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. So, oh yeah, let me do that because I messed my line up the other time, which is, it's absolutely fine. It's not that big of a deal. So here we are again. At that divot, I kind of, it's not exactly in the divot, but the beauty about the Baptist fan is that it doesn't matter. Once it will quilt out. Once you have it's all sewed up, you don't know where one started and where one ended. So it really is okay if it's not perfect, but you have to always make sure that you start you always have to make sure that you start here. The other thing about this, and I'll continue to go and I'll show you along the way. The other thing about this, I like this technique. This is the 2nd quilt in a row that I have quilted like this. There's a couple of things I don't like about it. What I don't like about it on this quilt is that there's a lot of very bulky intersections. And I didn't even do it with all the strings as it was indicated in the book, which is interesting. I'm going to actually do this. So that's what I'm saying, like that ended there, but I'm just going to do a little bit of a fudge and do it that way. The other thing, one of the things I don't like about this, since they are 1 inch apart, that you travel an inch to go from one blade to the next. And I find that I don't really like that as much. I feel like that's really wasteful. But, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it really isn't. But I don't care for that. I'm pretty much, I've decided that I'm a very frugal quilter. So I never really would have said that about myself. But, and then you just, so your parameters are just the previous arcs. So here I'm lining up this arc. And I might even today just finish just marking the rest of this quilt, because usually I just do a line at a time, and then I will just I'll do a line at a time, and then the next day, or it takes me a couple days to do a whole row, so I'll just do a row at a time. Then and then that morning I'll mark another row. So that's on average how long it takes me. But this is what I was saying about this, and the way that you should do it too, where you don't have to tie off, so because it's uneven. So because it's 5, and I'm going to show you with this one here. Let me see. Can you see this? Let me try to get the camera a little bit closer. I don't know if this is going to work. But let me see. Can we see that? So, because of how it's uneven, so I'm going to end here, and then I'm going to travel up to here, and I have to go boom, there, I can go to there, travel to there, go down here, I'm going to travel to there, go up here, travel to there, and then I can come down here, and I'll be able to do the next part. And that's great, but if I run out of thread, in the middle of here, or, at wherever, I constantly still have to say to myself, oh, okay, wait a minute, where am I? Boom, boom, because I know I want to end up with this arc. starting right next to the next arc. So let me make sure this is still here. I am actually going to try to finish. I'm going to try not to move this camera too much, but I'm going to try to finish this next line, do this whole row, because at the end of the row, we kind of have the same issue in that you have to make sure that you do finish, this is getting caught up here, that you do finish your whole row. I gotta do something here because this is getting caught up in how I have this rolled up. There we go. Alright. Let me make sure I have this lined up here and there. And I'm going to start up here to make sure. Let me move this down here. Move this down here. There we go. Here is my 5th fan on this one. This is what I mean about this. See, I'm having a hard time here. I moved that and that got a little screwed up. That's right. I'll fix it when I'm sewing it. Again, to me, it's the forgiveness of the Baptist fan pattern that even if you kind of mess up your lines, and even with this big stitch where the lines are a little bit more distinct than the other thing that I had, than the other, here, let me show it to you. I think it's right here. So this is the other, I do have this, and I use this on another quilt. I'll try to put a picture up of it. It was actually a hexagon, English paper piecing hexagon quilt that I used this on. And I kept getting lost when I tried to mark it. Now I did traditionally mark that, I did traditionally quilt that quilt with quilting thread, not big stitch or any of those sorts of things. Yeah, how far are these? These fans, yeah, they're claiming they're an inch apart, so just about, right? Although they seem smaller. But this worked out well as well. As I say, I'll try to put the other one, that other quilt up. So I'm just going to finish marking this row. And that's a hot mess, the previous one where I was trying to fuss with the camera and all that, but I'll fix it. The good thing about this is that I can just kind of wet right here how this is messed up. Actually, it's not that bad. I'm just going to try to see if I can't get them to intersect at some point. There you go, they intersect now. But I can just get a piece of batting and I'll just wet it and just kind of erase that line if I feel the need to, but I don't usually. Oh shoot, I lost the cap. So I am just going to finish marking this. And it's a nice day here, but now we're supposed to get some rain over the weekend and get chilly again, which is kind of bumming me out because we've had a couple of very beautiful spring days. There we go, there's that. It'll all settle down and then I'll be complaining it'll be too hot. Probably not, because the heat, if it gets too hot, that doesn't really bother me. And actually, I like a little bit more of, in terms of weather, I dislike a lot of changes. Sometimes I can get really bad sinus issues when the weather keeps changing around on me. And that I don't care for, especially this time of year when I can have a little bit of hay fever problems as well. So here is this. I'm trying to get us to the end of the row to kind of show you what happens at the end of the row. And I'm hoping I'll be done quilting this by the middle of next week. And then I hope to have my double Irish chain. I'm working on the what do you call it, on the borders now, and they're going faster than I thought they would. I'm going to do a little tutorial on them tomorrow. But I was hoping, and I'm hoping, that by the end of next week at the very latest, I will be hand quilting that. So here we are. Okay, what I wanted to show you. Let me move this down a little bit. Make sure y'all can see it. Some of this. I have a huge desk, which I can show you guys this desk one day, because it is such a nice desk, such a gift that I got it. It was a family member's, and they got it when they retired after 30 years of service with the company, and it's kind of was at a couple different people's houses, and then I said, oh, I'll take it for my sewing room, and I just love it. Well, I do love it. But it's big, so sometimes I'm like, oh, that's getting in the way of me trying to do a lot of things here. But in reality, it's a perfect desk for sewing. I can put my quilts on it and bind my quilts on it. I can bind my quilts on it, but I can also base them on this desk, and I don't have to crawl around the floor, which really makes me happy. And maybe when I get to that double wedding ring, not double wedding ring, the what do you call it, the double Irish chain, maybe I'll do something on how I'm going to base that. So look, here we are. We're right at the edge here, and we have to make sure that we mark the quilt all the way to the end. This is it. Look what I did. I hit the wrong button because I hit the wrong thing because I was talking. Yeah, Rain. So I'll erase that. I'll get a little bit of. Oh, looks like I have a couple of lines I'm going to need to erase, huh? And here it is. That's the end of that. Yeah. I wanted to show you what happened. I don't know if you can see this on the previous row. I had marked to here, and I didn't mark these three, but I had to bring this all the way down to kind of see where it was going to intersect with here, because that's where I needed to put my my ruler to mark that. And see, that's what I had to do. Do 5, 4, 3. I did sew this. It's 2 stitches. I did sew this. I don't know if you can see it. It's 2 stitches, but it's probably going to get caught up in the seam allowance when I go to put the binding on, but that's okay. So anyway, this is me marking my Straits of Mackinac quilt. I'll let you know when I'm done, but if you notice here, I only have, let me see what that takes up. That takes up these rows. Yeah, they're about 5, they're about 4 inches. So, I probably have 4, 8, 12. I probably have just 3 more rows to do, and then I'll be done this. You kind of get tired of doing it in the middle of it, but then when you're like, wait a minute, I only have 3 more rows to do, I might now just do a row a night just to kind of get it done and get the binding on, but we'll see. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a great day, and I'll probably catch up with you tomorrow, and I'll give you a status update of my whips.